Hi, welcome to Simple Logistics. So today we are going to talk about units of measure, especially the imperial unit system and the international metric system. So when we are talking about international cooperation projects, such as the International Space Station, or even foreign trade, the use of the international metric system is preferable over the use of the imperial system, but overall, logistics experts have to be aware and have to know how to work in both systems. Today, the imperial system is used mainly in the United States, Liberia, and Myanmar, three countries in general, and is the international metric system is used pretty much everywhere else. Because the United States is such an important player in foreign trade or in international commerce, it's important for logistics personnel to have some degree of understanding about the imperial units. Um, but it's also important for those in the US which have export business or even import business, or their parts must fit in products made abroad. It's important for them to understand the international metric system. So today I'm kind of giving a brief overview about both systems, and I'll say what I like, what I don't like about them. Okay. So the inch measure is actually the measure of a thumb, or something similar to that. It derives from that. So that's why my native language is Portuguese. In Portuguese and in Spanish, the word for inch is the same word as a thumb. So, polegada in Portuguese and pulgada in Spanish. So, every time I hear something is, these many inches, in my mind, I know people have used, measuring devices to get those measures, but because of the word, how it translates to Portuguese. In my mind, it's kind of like people are using their fingers to kind of get a sense of size of things. So it doesn't sound very professional, but it's a very ancient measuring unit. The United States actually uses a system. American or the US measuring system is a little bit modified in regards to the original British Imperial system, but these units have a long history and they go all the way back to the Roman Empire, as we'll see. And 12 inches is 1 feet. So also, when I am flying, for example, and the pilot, announces to the passengers, "Oh, now we are flying so many thousand feet." Also, these conjures this kind of image in my mind. So, and you can see here something that will repeat a lot. You'll see that the imperial system is base 3. So it makes easier for you to work with fractions, or to divide these measures, and to work with fractions instead of decimals. So that's why a lot of people prefer these base 3 kind of measuring system. And here again, 3 feet equals 1 yard. I have no clue what yard means, where it comes from. But again, it's an old British measure. People in the past used to put these plaques or these boards outside churches and main squares. So when townspeople would buy or sell stuff, for example, cloth, they could measure here, and both seller and buyer had transparency about the measuring unit. This is something, units of measure have always been something very important into people's life. So that's why you needed these common standards to foster trust and trade. If you had standards that were the same for different cities, trade between these cities would be easier. If you had standards that were same in different provinces, different states, that would also make it easier. And in the end, you have like a kind of global measuring systems like the international metric system, which one of the original goals was to facilitate international trade. And finally, you have the mile. So 1760 yards equals 1 mile. The mile derives from an old Roman unit of measure, the millipassus, or in the Middle Ages it changed to milia in Italian. And the millipassus was kind of measured as 1,000 steps by Roman soldiers, Roman legionnaires. And when they were building roads, they would measure these steps from this original milestone in the center of Rome, the Roman Forum. And each 1,000 steps, they would put a marker. So everyone knew how far, if you were traveling through Roman road in those days, you could always tell how far you were from Rome based on the information from these markers. And it was all done pretty much the old school way. So a legionnaire would walk 1,000 steps and then drop a marker into the side of the road to mark how far they were from Rome. So it's all very rich in history, but you see most of these measures were related to human proportions. So different people would measure things differently, and it's not very precise. It doesn't sound precise, and in the end, people created standards and measuring devices and calibration protocols and everything, and made it work with precision. But originally, it wasn't a very precise system. It wasn't very standard across countries. So even today, the U.S. has different standards as the U.K., and the UK had different standards than other countries in the past, before the introduction of the international metric system. Each country had its own mile, and they would all have different measures. Each country had its own feet, and was different. So international trade, international cooperation in engineering, everything was really hard because people were using different units of measure. Then the French Revolution came. The French new regime asked the French scientific committee to come up with units of measure that were not anthropomorphic, or that were not related with human proportions. They were based in natural phenomena. The scientific commission, set out to discover these kind of pure measures, and the first measure that they created was the meter. So the meter was originally defined as 1/10 millionth of the distance from the equator to the North Pole, passing through the city of Paris, of course. And then they created these standards, these physical standards in platinum iridium, so they don't react to oxygen. They don't lose their characteristics. It has very little changes of measure due to temperature change. These standards were created, and copies of them were made and sent to other countries. So these standard is the one that is stored in the US. The B27 is the original standard sent to the US to calibrate all the equipment, the measuring equipment in the US. And the other beauty of the international metric system is that not only it does takes the human factor or the human proportion out of the equation. These are pure measures based on natural phenomena, and it's also base 10. So what does it mean? It means that the conversion from one measuring unit to its multiples or submultiples is really, really easy, or at least in my opinion, really easy. So for example, you have a 1 meter here. If you want the other measure that we use a lot in Brazil and Europe is the kilometer. So road signs, everything is using kilometers. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters because it's three multiples up from the meter. So you have the kilometers here, hectometers. 1 hectometer is 100 meters. 1 decameter is 10 meters. So you have all the multiples here. If you want to transform a measure in meters to some of its multiples, all you have to do is to move these dots here to the left. So every time you move up, the dot goes one position to the left. So if you have 1,000 meters, then you go up to decameters. The 1,000 will change to 100 decameters. Then if you move up again, so 1,000 meters to 100 decameters, 100 decameters to 100 hectometers. And then if you want to move up again to kilometers, the dot moves to the left again. And then you have 10 hectometers changed to 1 kilometers. So it's all very easy. When you go down, same thing. The dot moves to the right. So if you have 1 meter and you wanted to convert it to decimeters, then all you have to do is to move this dot one house or one position to the right. So 1 meter, it's 10 decimeters. 10 decimeters, if you want to change that to centimeters, all you have to do, move the dot one position forward. Again, so 1 meter, 10 decimeters, 100 centimeters, 1,000 millimeters. So it's really easy to convert measures using the metric system. Different from the imperial system, where if you wanted to change inches to feet, you have to divide per 12, And if you want to change it from feet to yard, you have to divide per 3. And if you want to convert from yards to miles, you have to divide per 1,760. So it's for me that I'm used to the metric system. It's kind of mind-boggling the imperial system. It just looks too complicated. But I know that for people that live in US, it seems also very simple, and the metric system looks complicated. But it really is not. It just takes a little practice in converting the unit. Then you can do it all in your head. And for day-to-day activities, it's really perfect that you have all these units of measure. They are all metric, and they are all interconnected, so it's really easier to work, in my opinion, really easier to work with the metric system. So that was what I had for today. I really hope that you guys like this video. I think it's useful, and that you consider practicing a little more using a different system than what you are using every day. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. See you. Bye.